is the molecular basis for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and related neurodegenerative diseases? And it is now clear from many scientific and clinical studies that these diseases are very closely associated with misfolding of proteins that are normally present in the brain, but when they misfold, they form into new structures that appear to be toxic. And so we have identified predominantly 3 misfolded proteins, and that is what Amprion is initially focused on, that seem to be the basis for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and a number of other diseases. So these proteins are A beta, tau, and synuclein, and I'll take a second to describe what we believe happens with each of them and what Amprion does uniquely. So A beta is a prevalent protein in the brain. It has in its normal function, it helps maintain normal brain function. It can misfold in 2 different ways. If it misfolds in one way, it leads to very large clumps of protein, of misfolded A beta in the brain that have been recognized for almost 100 years now, and those are referred to as plaque. So we've always known that plaque was an early sign of Alzheimer's, but it took a while to understand that that is just a very large clump of misfolded A beta amyloid. A beta can also misfold into a slightly different shape in which it forms much smaller soluble clumps or aggregates of A beta, and it's these soluble small aggregates of A beta that spread easily throughout the brain and start to make the disease widespread. There's a second protein involved in Alzheimer's called tau, and it goes through something very similar to what I've described for A beta. So you have a normal function of tau, which has a critical function in nerve cells, but it can misfold also in 2 different ways. Just like A beta, it can misfold into a form that forms very large clumps. In the case of tau, the large clumps are referred to as neurofibrillary tangles or tangles, and they're very easily visible under the microscope. In fact, some of the earliest signs for Alzheimer's that one could see under the microscope were the presence of plaque and tangles, because these are very large insoluble aggregates. But again, tau also misfolds into a slightly different shape that forms a soluble aggregate of tau, and again, just like in the case of the soluble aggregates of A beta, it's the soluble form that moves between cells and is the basis for this being a progressive disease. The very large clumps are immobile and can't move within the brain. They are a sign, but probably not the direct cause, whereas the soluble aggregates of A beta and tau are what we fear the most. It's what spreads throughout the brain. It's what causes these diseases to progress over time and affect large regions of the brain.